Hello everyone and welcome back to Lucky Loads 15, where you've tuned into a slightly different video today. Sorry I didn't make this video last night. It's basically my selections going through all of the 6 races at Ascot today for their Champions Day. It's a cracking afternoon's racing ahead. The conditions are going to be possibly a bit rainy, a bit windy, and that has made the ground soft. So we might get a few different results than we might have expected earlier in the week, where there was kind of maybe the suggestion that we might get drier ground. So it'd be interesting to see what happens today. I'm really excited for this afternoon's horse racing action. You can do these like as a each way lucky 63. I'm just going to be backing them like if I was just down there on the day doing it like as a single, that kind of thing. And you can agree or disagree with them as you like in the comments box below. If you think they'll run well, please by all means support me, but if you don't think they will run well or have something else you prefer, please let me know. I like to know what you've got to say. So I'm going to be starting on anyway with the first race at Ascot in the 125. Now the one to beat here is Order of St George, but I'm going for Stradivarius, which is trained by John Gosden, and Frankie Dettori will be taking this ride. This horse Stradivarius we've backed a couple of times. I remember backing it when it won at Royal Ascot, so it's got a liking for the track. Also as well, was a good third place in the St Leger behind Capri. It put in a good bold effort in the end, and I think you must be looking to get away really from Order of St George in this race. For me, he's just a bit too short, around about 4 to 5 on I think he is at the moment. So I think there's a few good each way alternatives out there, and I thought 8 to 1 for Stradivarius. I could definitely see him making the frame, and maybe it's something you might want to do a kind of like without Order of St George. You might want to put in Stradivarius there as your winner without Order of St George, but like I said, he is the one to beat, and he will like the conditions, the going of soft. He prefers a bit easier ground, but I thought Stradivarius wasn't a bad each way shout going against Order of St George. So that's the first one I'm giving you there. Our second selection is the Tinman in the 2 o'clock. Now on paper, really, you're looking at Harry Angel and thinking he's the one to beat. He's answered the question now about the ground when it was heavy ground at Haydock, where he won really impressively that day. And there was a lot of debate, was he going to run, was he not going to run? But in the end he did run, and he ran on softer ground than he had been running on before. He meets a few of his old rivals today in the likes of Caravaggio and the Tinman, and the one I'm putting up here is actually going to be the Tinman. He doesn't mind a bit of cut in the ground. He also as well is a course specialist at Ascot. He tends to bring his big races to Ascot, his best performances. He's trained by James Fanshawe. Tom Queally takes a ride, got a good connection with this horse. It won this race last year as well, so that bodes well for it. It has been on the drift slightly, but I thought around 10 to 1 each way is the price I got it at. That was quite a good each way bet. Again, going against Harry Angel. I'm not sure about Harry Angel at Ascot. He hasn't won here at Ascot yet, but obviously he has been improving majorly the last few races and is definitely the one to beat. But I thought the Tin Man wasn't a bad alternative when he finished actually third last time at Haydock in that race that Harry Angel was very impressive at. So the Tin Man might again throw down another surprise at Ascot, but by no means I would be not surprised if Harry Angel won the race and actually got off the mark at Ascot. So that's the 2 o'clock there. We then go to the 240 with a horse which I think is probably the most easiest one to back for a win on today, for me anyway, but it's not going to be my nap. I'll get onto that a bit later on. It's called Bateel. It's currently 2 to 1 with bookmakers at the moment. This is a French raider. It's trained by F.H. Graffard and Pierre Charles Baudot. I hope I pronounced his last name right, will be taking the ride for this one. Now this horse has been very impressive. It'll definitely like the conditions as well, doesn't mind it being soft. Also as well, it met a few of these at Chantilly last month where it beat them quite comprehensively, and I thought Bateel was the one to beat in this race here. So that's in the 240 at Ascot. The next one that we're going for, this was nearly the nap, but not quite. It's in the 315. It's called Beat the Bank. We've been following this horse a lot this year. It's been a very impressive horse, trained by Andrew Boulding, and he's not going to be the champion jockey after this afternoon. That would go to Sylvester de Souza, but Jim Crowley, the champion jockey of last year, will be taking the ride for this one. This horse, like we've already said, has been improving. It won very nicely at Newmarket last time by quite a few lengths. It was a really good performance. His only blip actually came here at Royal Ascot this year, so maybe you could go, oh, is he an Ascot specialist? But I think he's a bit more quality than that. And you're probably going to go against me now and say that I went for Harry Angel, not being a Ascot course specialist. But I do think Beat the Bank has really improved and is definitely a good alternative in this race. I thought also as well, the way that he won at Glorious Goodwood on soft conditions was really nice, and I was just really taken with him at Newmarket when I finally really got to see him for myself, and it was a really nice performance in the end, and I thought 9-2 was a good price there. So that's the selection in the 315. The 350, we go for a Poet's Word. Now this is obviously the race where we've got the likes of Barney Roy, Churchill, Cracksman. I think Cracksman, to be fair to me, wants to be slightly more up in trip. I think 10 furlongs is maybe, even though he has won over 10 furlongs before, I think his improvement has come further, and he's more of a relentless galloper that needs a little bit further, and maybe hasn't got quite a turn of foot compared to a lot of other horses over this distance. And I think that's where he could just be found wanting, and that's why he might have been frustrating at the earlier start of the season. So for me, I thought Poet's Word was a good each way shout here, good alternative. He likes the soft ground. He won again at Glorious Goodwood, another one that won in conditions there. Also as well, has been improving quite a lot. Finished second just behind Decorated Knight over in Ireland on their Champions Weekend back in September. And it was a nice, really up and coming performance. I think he's still on an upward curve. So Michael Stout trained, Andrea Azani takes the ride. I thought this one could maybe throw a surprise in amongst the pigeons today with the likes of Cracksman, Churchill, Barney Roy. I thought he wasn't bad, so that's my selection there. My last selection is in the big race, like in field size anyway, at the end of the meeting, and it's going to be my nap as well, but I think it's a really good shout. It's called Lord Glitters, already attracting a lot of support. It's currently 10-3 with bookmakers at the moment. Is trained by David O'Mara, and Daniel Tudhope takes the ride. This horse really likes soft and heavy conditions, so it should be tailor-made for it. It came second last time behind Accidental Agent in that big race, that big handicap, a couple of weeks ago, and it was running on really well, but just got into the race a little bit too late. It had been off as well for a few months before that run, after having a slight break. We're actually running that before that on the soft and heavy ground, so we'll definitely like the conditions, and I thought 10-3 wasn't a bad price there to be getting stuck into, and I thought he could be the one that probably I was most confident about winning today outside at Bateel. That was not a bad price. So that's my selections for Ascot Champions Day this afternoon. Hopefully we can have a good afternoon's racing. There's also a lot of other good racing going around, but like I said, the main action is at Ascot, pretty much the major last recognised day of the flat season in the UK. It's been a good flat season this year. We'll probably do a review or something like on the Loader Look in the next week or so, hopefully. We haven't done that one for just a little while, so that might be the next subject there, just a reflection on 2017 UK flat season on the turf. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. Also as well, please follow us on Twitter as well, where we normally give other horse racing selections as well. We might throw one or two jump ones in there this afternoon. There's a lot of good jump racing on. I know there's a big good meeting at Fosslas with the Welsh National Hurdle. We might put one up on there. But yeah, so just stay tuned really. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like the videos, gamble responsibly, and we'll be seeing you soon.